All right, we have a new promo code we're going to be looking at today. And if you end up going to the Marvel Strike Force website, go to the top right where the hamburger is and click on player gift. This is going to take you to this screen here. The promo code you're going to want to end up using is Community Intel Drop. This promo code is going to net you 2 million gold and 20,000 Intel currency. Make sure that you guys end up claiming this because I don't know how long these actually last for. And getting 20,000 Intel currency is nothing to really sneeze at. But with that, let's go ahead and start this reaction video and the U16 defenses. How's it going, everybody? This Seer here, and we have a new strike spot video for the new roguelike game mode that's going to be arriving, and I'm going to say my experience a little bit on this as well. So let's go ahead and watch this video. Then I'm going to talk about my experience, what I think about the game mode, and kind of go into that a little bit further from see what I can kind of talk about. Also, we are going to be going over the U16 defenses at the end of this video. So I'm just going to combine these two videos into one because I know some people are talking what I'm going to be doing on the U16, some options on that. So we'll discuss that after this video. So let's go ahead and check this video out.
Welcome back, Commanders, to another episode of Strike
Daddy.
Spot. Today I am joined by Max, who has been working on the new roguelike game mode. Max, why don't you introduce...
Is that too loud? Do I need to turn the volume down, guys? That seems kind of loud.
yourself to everyone at home.
Hey there, I'm Max. I am a technical designer on Marvel Strike Force. I've been here for about 4 years working across the...
Is that audio better, guys? Just need to see if I need to adjust more. Hey, adjust your expectations. How's it going? Nice emojis. A little loud. All right, let me drop this down to here.
Force. I've been here for about... designer.
All right.
Hey there, I'm Max. I am a technical designer on Marvel Strike Force. I've been here for about 4 years working across the board on combat and systems and tooling, and recently I've been working on new game modes.
Marvel Beard Force.
And speaking of the new game mode, we have not revealed the name yet. I think we all wanted that to be a big reveal. So I think we're going to give it to you, Max. What is the new game mode going to be called?
I'm honored. I am excited to say that the new game mode will take place in the Danger Room, which is super iconic training grounds in the Marvel universe. And we've
I love that name for it, by the way. It's actually really cool. The imagery that they used was actually really cool as far as like the battle setting.
been wanting to use it for a while, so I'm pretty happy to bring it into the game now.
Well, I know that a lot of people out there might not know what a roguelike is. You've also probably heard the term roguelite as well from some of our content creators, or just in general. So why don't you explain in kind of quick terms, what is a roguelike and how is it going to work in MSF?
Definitely. Yeah, so roguelike is a genre of games that leverages kind of procedural generation and permadeath in order to create super replayable and rewarding gameplay loops. Roguelite is pretty much the same, it's just a more modern version with some more modern mechanics. In the context of Danger Room, what you are going to be doing is you're going to be going into a procedurally generated dungeon with the goal of beating a final boss. And then along the way, you're going to be presented with a number of decisions that are going to be centered around building up your squad. So you might be presented with the option of adding one of 3 characters from your roster to your squad, or you might see combat modifiers pop up that you can add in, which are similar to Scourges. And the hope is that when you make it to the final...
By the way, the mods that they had for options was really cool. There was some mods where it basically caused that character to assist on every single attack, so then you'd swap your ices around for it. There were things where if this character stays alive, they'd be able to revive another character as soon as it goes back to their turn. There were some really unique mods, so it wasn't just the standard gain 50% extra attack. They really stretched the limits as far as what they could think about and use for their mods on the teams that they actually had options on there.
Boss, you built up your squad to be strong enough to actually defeat it. And if you didn't, then that's where the permadeath comes in. And so you go all the way back to the beginning, start from scratch, clean slate, and you try again. And so we're really encouraging players to think on their feet, try new things, and play with whatever strategy is kind of presented to them on that run.
Very cool. So why are we introducing this mode now?
No, yeah, we've wanted to make something like this for a while. And so I think what makes now the perfect time is that we've heard players for the last few months say that they want more and more PvE content. Stuff like Scourges, stuff like Dark Dimensions that traditionally are pretty one-off. And so the goal was to make this very replayable from the get-go. Like, we designed it, and that's why we picked roguelike, for it to be replayable. And then the other big reason is that we wanted to create kind of a new experience in MSF, a brand new one that flips combat on its head. And so traditional combat, you know what tools you're going to go into it with. Like, you know that what your roster is, and you know what you can take in. And the interesting decisions that you're making are in combat. And we're kind of flipping that on its head by taking a lot of those interesting decisions and important decisions out of combat and up to the meta level, where you're actually going to be building up your squad, and that's kind of the more important thing that you're doing here.
Can you talk a little bit about why we're trying to get it out as quickly as possible and some of the reasons behind that?
Yeah, that's a great question. The reason that we wanted to get it out and in the players' hands so fast is because we know that when we put a game mode out, we're going to be iterating on it over the next some number of months or years in some game modes cases. And so we wanted to start that iteration process a lot earlier. This is fully playable as a new game mode. I wouldn't say it's a beta or anything. Like, it's a fun new game mode, and that's kind of what our bar was to actually ship it. But we're going to continue taking player feedback and trying to make it more and more fun throughout the next months, and that's why we're getting it out so early.
So let's kind of get into some of the nitty gritty with the Danger Room. So Max, walk me through how a normal run of the Danger Room is going to go from start to finish.
Yeah, so you're going to be coming into the game mode, and you're going to start off by selecting a difficulty, and then you're going to click the Start Run button, which is going to generate an entirely new dungeon for you to go through.
All right, so basically what happens here, you see how there's this currency, there's 10 of these golden X coins. You're going to use that to choose what mods you want. So you can start off by doing like this agile one, which costs 10. You can grab 2 of these 5 to where you're going to have that 20% extra focus resistance, 20% damage, or you can say do the 10% damage here and grab this one. So that way you're going to have 30% damage, then you have 10% armor resistance focus. You're going to end up jacking up the difficulty however high you want. After you end up doing your run, depending on what choices you make on your next run, you're going to have more of these golden X coins to where you can grab more mods. And there was a huge selection of mods that you can actually grab on here. So that's actually cool that they're showing this. When you say it's not a beta, it's totally a beta. It's not fully a beta. They're still going to be doing adjustments like they said. I don't know what adjustments they're going to end up doing on this, but I did quite a bit of runs on this to where I kept kind of stacking up more of these mods on here. There's some crazy mods. I don't believe you will start with 10. That could change. Okay, Pathfinder. Good to know. Good to know. But yeah, this was actually really fun. Kind of curious how many runs you end up doing. I did like 4 or 5.
Every dungeon's going to be pretty unique. And the very first decision that you make is you're going to pick your starting characters. So every run of the event is going to have a list of characters that are associated with that event that you can find in the Danger Room. So we might have
an event a lot. Yeah, it was really fun. It was really fun, and it was challenging when you get to certain nodes on there as well, to where it's like, okay, I need to restart this and kind of plan better. So it was a good challenge on there. I had a lot of fun doing this.
And you will be finding Cyclops or Jean Grey or that kind of thing, or that we might have a run of the event, maybe the first run of the event that you are finding So
they're like the 10% speed. That's the one I started right off the bat, was this one. There's a 30 cost here. Allies gain 20% resistance armor. There's an Iron Patriot buff to where it really increases their stats. Same with Star-Lord on here.
Or
500%.
or Thunder.
Vigilante starts with the 1 extra ability energy I saw on here.
And so that very
So yeah, there's a huge selection of mods you can end up doing the more runs that you end up going.
first decision that you're making is going to be from the full list of characters that are tied to the event, but going onwards, they're going to be randomly pulled from there. So once you pick your starting characters, you then are essentially fighting your way through the dungeon until you get to the final boss. Along the way, you're going to be encountering
It
new
looks like
types
work.
of nodes, not just
It's supposed to be challenging. I believe when they announced it, they were having it to where you can do one run and done, just kind of do your daily type of thing. Or you can kind of push it just for the content. I don't think there's like full rewards. I don't know if they're going to end up doing that or not. I was doing it just for fun. So like, I'm like, okay, I'll go in, I'll do the beta, see how that ends up going, kind of get my experience. And before I knew it, I was playing this for an hour and a half, 2 hours while I was working, just because work was slow. I'm like, I'm just going to play this game. It was really cool. Hey, Dave, how's it going?
combats that let you give you those decisions to kind of build up your squad.
Okay, so you talk about how there are different room types. Can you name those and talk a little bit about each one of what you might be experiencing when you're actually in there?
Definitely, yeah. So visually, this is a node map, like a raid or like a scourge. And so we're all familiar with the combat nodes. This has a few more that it adds to that. So in addition to combat, you have elite combats, which are like
If everyone just runs over it, they wasted the time. You're not just going to run over it. So I started with 2 characters. Then as I went through, you see how there's these nodes on here. These are the combat nodes, depending on the difficulty. I did max difficulty just to really push it. And then eventually you'll get it to where you can either do a combat or you can do like a chess type of thing that can get you to try to get another character. Or there could be another option where it's like an elite boss, not boss fight, but it's like more of an elite combat on here. That's going to get you mods. It was really well done.
combats, but they are trickier.
This thing right here, this thing, the first time I tried this, I got demolished. It was pretty crazy. This chest thing right here, that's where you're either going to get like a mod or a new character type of thing to kind of add to your team.
You have elite combats, which are like
Thought the options would be randomly generated and we could choose 1, 2, or 3. It is randomly generated. Like one of them, after I did the full run, I went back in. The nodes were actually different as far as what I was going into. So they are different as far as like the bosses or the matches I end up going into and the choices for like the chest. So like, say I was trying to build a vigilante team, but when I go to the chest, there was no vigilante. I had to choose, say, what's another new team? Star Jammers, or another team could be, say, Liberty. So there could be something like that that's on the chest, depending what they're going with. And then I would throw that person in with the team, and it might not be optimal, but I'm going to still try to push through, maybe try to get to another chest to kind of build the team up more. Or say I have my team, I'm going to try to look for mods, or now I'm just going to try to do the combats, get the bonuses there. So it was really cool as far as how they did this. Seems like they amalgamated, I cannot speak, elements of the Gambit raid and Scourges. Not the Gambit raid. It is definitely Scourge based, along with how this changes around. Like the map's not always going to be the same either, because like say you end up breaking off to a certain point, then that could kind of happen.
like combats, but they are trickier. They will have higher power and they'll give you more rewards. And then from the combat and the elite,
So like here you can see there's the Iron Patriot because they end up buffing them. Hyperion, so Thunderbolts is an option. Star Jammers is an option since it's showing this. Yeah, so there's like a Vigilante because you saw the buff for that. There's Thunderbolt team or Star Jammers team. I really leaned into the Vigilante portion on here just because how good they actually are in offense and everything. You don't have your full like raid, cosmic crucible bonuses, anything like that. So you have to keep that in mind. But there could be mods that can kind of buff that up for you. This currency right here for the purple is by doing the nodes. This blue one, I believe, is nodes as well. So you're going to use this currency to purchase these characters. It's just the Gambit raid had different groups of enemies. Oh, as far as that goes, I see what you're saying. This is like DC Dark Legion, the Darkest Timeline. Yeah, it's definitely up there for like Dark Legion if you were doing that for, I forgot what it's called. I don't think it was Darkest Timeline, but it's kind of like that. Plus, it made you mix and match teams. Yeah, it's definitely lean into the mix and match. I tried to get the full teams, and that made it much easier.
Combats, you're
Oh, but yeah, so there's characters here, or you can go to cards to just kind of get mods.
earning this mode-specific currency. You can't buy it anywhere. It's all wiped after the run as well, called combat tokens, which then you can spend in shop nodes to recruit new characters to your squad. So in every single shop, you're going to see 3 characters from that list I talked about.
Yeah, roguelike's been around, I think, for like 20 years, hasn't it? Something crazy like that. So it's definitely its own type of thing. It's fun. I like it.
Or 3 combat modifiers from also a list associated with the event, and you're able to spend the combat tokens to add them to your squad. And then
40-ish? Okay.
Similar to shops, but more of a freebie are.
Yeah, so this right here, when you get these chests, this is what I was really looking for earlier on. So, like, say I started with, like, Daredevil Modern, Silver Sable. I go in here, sweet, there's a Hit Monkey. I'm going to grab a Hit Monkey as opposed to Howard the Duck and, say, Hyperion, because I wanted to try to go more into Vigilante. So, there's ways you can kind of do this. Rogue, the original roguelike, was 1980. Oh, my God. Time flies, man.
Care packages where you'll just see 3 characters or 3 combat mods that you can choose to add to your squad. You won't know what it is until you get in there. And then we have healing stations, which...
Yeah, so like here you can end up breaking off. You can go regular combat. You can go for an elite combat where you get that. Then the elite combat was where I got the gold coins to where I do the next run. I could try and get a better team, better mods to kind of go through it. Or if you need to heal up any of your characters, you jump on this one here. The first few times I was just doing these regular ones since I got my butt kicked on this one. Once I got more used to it, I jump in on these a lot more so I get more mods for the replay value. Anyone notice the push of Thunderbolts? I did some with Thunderbolts. I couldn't get the full team on that one. I was able to get the full team of Vigilante. Starjammers, I got the full team. And Starjammers did okay-ish based on the mods that I got. I know there were like other good mods for it.
This is, in Scourge, you aren't allowed to heal in between your matches. This is kind of a new thing that we added that will give you healing currency that you can use throughout the match, because this entire dungeon is a persistent health kind of thing. So all the enemies have persistent health, you have persistent health, so any damage that you take in a previous match will carry on forwards.
So really, there's a lot of strategic choice that you're going to have to make every single time that you're doing one of these runs. So it's really important that as you're going...
Starjammers does not have energy regeneration, I think so. Does energy matter? I believe it does. Because, yeah, I believe it did carry over. So the Scourges that they had some for like Vigilante where on spawn you got like 1 ability energy. There was something special for Thunderbolts. There's something special for Starjammers as well. So you can kind of lean into that team as far as that goes. I had a really fun one for Vigilante where it's Barrel of Monkeys or something like that. If I had Hit Monkey on the team, depending on how many Vigilante I had that many extra Hit Monkeys. It was awesome. That was amazing.
Through, especially on some of the higher difficulties, to really be paying attention to what do I need, where are my cooldowns
ZKG.
at. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there should be many decisions from starting.
ZKG, how many runs did you do, and what teams did you test out? I tested out all of them, but I couldn't get like a full Thunderbolts to really test that one.
Characters that you pick to whether or not
Yeah, this is the Danger Room combat thing. This looked amazing. This looked so cool.
you take a combat or a heal or a shop on your next node, or to, like you said, managing your cooldowns on the kind of the more hardcore game level. It's all going to be, there's going to be lots of decisions to make outside of combat in this case.
Okay. So are there a specific amount of nodes that you're going to do? How long will the run also normally be?
Yeah, it was
I would
awesome,
say
dude.
that we aren't locked into how many nodes there are just yet, but a run we're shooting for around 30 minutes from start to boss. So you might not make it to the boss every time, so it might not be 30 minutes every time, but if you're making it all the way there, that's what we're shooting for.
What kind of
That
rewards
sounds
are
about
we
right.
looking at? Is it going to be similar to a Scourge, and that there's going to be milestones, a leaderboard? How is all that going to work?
Good question.
It is similar to a Scourge in that there are milestones and leaderboards, but the scoring for it is a little different. So, for one, the leaderboards are going to be mostly cosmetic. There might be some global milestones attached to them.
From my understanding, Marvel doesn't want them to use AI. I know they don't do that for like the artwork, but I don't believe this is AI based either. I don't think Marvel allows them to do that.
That's mostly because this is a very, very replayable mode, and so we didn't want you to have to grind too hard for
It's not AI. That's what I figured.
or anything. And then on the milestone side, we're also changing things up from Scourge, where in Scourge you can click the highest difficulty and you get points on every single combat that you do. So there's kind of some manipulation that you can do to get all the milestones. In this case, you really only get the milestone points from defeating the final boss. So you pick a
Okay, interesting.
difficulty, and if you defeat the final boss at that difficulty, you'll unlock the milestones that accompanies.
Very cool. Well, I think that leads well into the next question. So, how accessible will the Danger Room be? I know that we're going to have some difficulties that you already talked about, but for a brand new player, how is that going to work? And what happens if you don't have all the characters for specific teams, since you are using your own roster?
Yeah, we are, for the first game mode in a long time, I think, we are trying to make this accessible to every single player in Marvel Strike Force. So you can pick this up the day before it comes out, and you should hopefully be able to play it on day one, which is pretty neat. And the way we're doing that is, for one, we're going to have the difficulty selection, which is going to span that whole day one to end game player power level. And then we are also introducing something brand new for this game mode, and it's only in this game mode, called rental characters, where you normally, when you're adding a character to your squad, it's straight from your roster, similar to Scourge. And in this mode, you're also going to...
So this is like the opening, like when you first go in, you get to choose 2 characters because it costs the 300 cost right there. So you can kind of see the options that you had. You had Thunderbolt characters, Vigilante characters, Starjammer characters. There's the Iron Patriot because he gets the extra buff. I didn't test out like Iron Patriot or Star-Lord to see how they would end up doing on this.
Straight from your roster, similar to Scourge. And in this mode, you're also going to have some number of rental tokens per day that you can spend to rent a character at a set.
So he said...
Only in this game mode, called rental characters, where you normally, when you're adding a character to your squad, it's straight from your roster.
So these are from your roster. So whatever your roster's at, you get to use those characters. The rental is the other options. Got it.
More to Scourge. And in this mode, you're also going to have some number of rental.
So like these here are the rental characters. You can rent 5 characters and use this currency. Okay. See, that I didn't know as far as like what this rent thing was. I thought it was like a one and done type of thing, but that makes sense. So the higher your roster is, then you can use them. So in a way, for health packs and rental systems, they are switching names for moment tokens and rental. Maybe?
rental tokens per day
Can I rent Professor Xavier for War in CC? That would be awesome.
that you can spend to rent a character at a set power vector, even if you don't already have them unlocked. So you might have 2 out of the 5 Thunderbolts, and you might see one that you don't have that you want to use, and you'll have a rental token so you can grab that character for that run of the Danger.
Interesting.
You won't be able to use it on the next run, so it's a per run kind of thing.
And these rental tokens, how do we get them?
Yeah, so you won't be earning them so much as they will just be automatically generating for you. So we'll have a cap of 5, and you'll be getting a total of 5 rentals per day. So if you don't have any of the new Thunderbolts, you could technically rent all 5 of them on a single run per day.
So I want to quickly touch on the procedural generation topic here, because I think I want to just dispel a couple of things that this isn't. Can you explain how the procedural generation works that we're talking about, and how we plan on using it specifically for the Danger Room?
Yeah, definitely. So procedural generation in this case is...
Can we just appreciate this? This looks amazing. They killed it. The whole Sentinel thing, how it looks like it's actually in like the Danger Room. They killed this thing. This was amazing.
For starters, it's not AI related at all. It is pretty similar to what we're doing in Blitz already in the game, where we are looking at what characters players are using in the meta, like what our top board of defense and offense teams are, what our top Crucible defense teams are, and we are kind of taking an amalgamation of those and making a succinct single wave combat with them. So we might take 3 Annihilators because they're popular in all sorts of game modes, and we might take 2 from Starjammers, and we're kind of throwing them onto one team. And so that's what the procedural generation means on the mission side. As far as the system side, we're also procedurally generating the map itself. So the order that you will encounter nodes, what the missions are, what nodes you might see, that's all procedurally generated as well. So it's kind of twofold.
Okay. And we kind of talked about how these procedural generated teams, we're not necessarily going to throw like a Mephisto Scroll Annihilators team at you on node 1. How are we kind of looking at that from the back end on making sure that it's gradually harder as you go versus in your face from moment 1, you have no chance?
Yeah, roguelike is known to be a little hardcore with the randomness, but some things are a little too hardcore. And so how we're doing that is we're generating a very large number of missions, and then missions designers are actually going through and assigning each one of them a difficulty. And so we are assigning those difficulties, and then as you go throughout the dungeon, you have a chance to get one at a higher and higher and higher difficulty. So you might just...
That's a lot of work. Basically setting up a list of all those teams and assigning difficulty to them. That's a lot of work to do that. Holy cow. Professor X and Odin are fair game. They didn't mention Professor X Odin, so yeah, they're fair game. They could put them at like difficulty 0.
just be getting the difficulty 1 bucket for the very first node, but when by the time you're at the end, you're getting the higher difficulties.
So a couple final questions here. How often do we plan on the Danger Room appearing in game?
So the hope is to be close to a monthly basis and lean into ages pretty well as well, and then kind of accompany a new team release. And so the goal is for new Danger Rooms to kind of feature the new team that just came out, as well as the team that came out before it, and hopefully be able to create a pretty accessible experience by...
If you might know this one. When a new team comes out and we're doing the rental, are they fully unlocked as far as their abilities goes, like to the 7774 type of thing? Or 5? Just kind of curious, like, where they're at for abilities. Okay, cool. Because that would kind of give a really good example as far as like, hey, I want to test this team out and use those rental tokens for that. That would be really cool for that.
Having both of those teams in there.
Okay. And I think the big thing that everyone wants to know. When will the Danger Room launch?
It's going to be coming out May 22nd, which is fast approaching, I think.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Very fast approaching.
next
and
Thursday.
I do want to say that I can confirm today that Max and I will be doing a live playtest on Twitch on May 20th at 11
Hey,
a.m.
sweet.
Pacific. So you can head to the description if you aren't already following us there and follow us.
So the difficulty that they picked on that was based off of that. It's like, I think they did like difficulty 4 or 5 when they were kind of going through the example on this. They didn't set to the max difficulty. Same day as the currency conversion. Oh, that is, isn't it?
And we'll be sure to remind you of that stream as it gets closer to the date. Max, I want to leave you with kind of the final thought here. What are you most excited for players to see with the Danger Room?
one thing that RJ told me very early on, he said, Max, put a lot of Easter eggs in there. Our players like Easter eggs. And so I think I'm pretty excited for our players to find all of the different builds that you can beat that final boss with. All of the teams that are in there and all of the friends of the teams are there. There should be a way to the end with them. Some of them might take a little bit more RNG grinding, but I think a lot of the mods and the characters that you'll find, there's some pretty fun ones in there.
Well, I am definitely looking forward to it, and I'm for sure looking forward to the community.
Yeah, I agree,
to
unspeakable.
Experience this. I think it's going to be a very fun time. So thank you so much for joining me today, Max. Appreciate your time. Appreciate all your effort on this new game mode. And thank you for joining us today for this episode of Strike Spot.
No preview at the end? Nope. All right, so yeah, it definitely has potential. Lean into the scourges. They had a lot of unique scourges. That portion is really cool of it. They mentioned how you earn rewards, but didn't give an actual example. Yeah, I think they might still be working out as far as like the rewards. I'm guessing intel's going to be a big thing in there. Will rewards match up in the boss milestone, or will it be like a bad CC? Intel rewards for weekly basis. I want to see the rewards too, kind of see what they are looking to put in there as far as that goes. And Scotty Chaos, what currency conversion? So let me pull up the blog for this. So they're going to be doing an Intel, not an Intel, but like a currency conversion for all the stuff that you have. Bonus, Intel. Basically all of the currency that we have, like the Blitz credits, gear credits, arena credits, they're being converted over to shop credits on May 22nd. So that's going to end up being next Thursday, which is when they said that is launching. So the day of the Danger Room coming, this is happening. So, but yeah, overall, I had a lot of fun playing Danger Room. I played it for about 2 hours, just trying different team comps out, just doing the replay on it, trying to see what mods I can start getting up to. It has a lot of potential, and if they're going to keep working on it, I'm actually really excited for that. Does the third run of the new Pocket Dimension give node rewards? I am not sure. I need to do my second run still, actually. This is wild. Well, let's jump in game, and we'll kind of go over this, and then we're going to go over the U16 as well. So let's jump in game.
I'm going to make some weird shit.
All right, so the currency. The big thing is the arena having these training modules. They're removing the L4 in here because it's over here. Now they need to start getting more of the intel so we can buy this on a regular basis. I'm doing about 1 purchase a day on this portion. However, when it gets to the last day, I'm going to rip all these arena orbs open. The elite credits, I ripped all of those open for the Crimson Gear raid orbs as well. Then I'm letting a lot of this other stuff just kind of convert over, like the Blitz credits. The gear credits that they were talking about are these, I believe, are getting converted over. Yeah, like tier gear raid orbs. Like these, I believe, are getting converted over. The war credits, I have 1.56 million of these. I could start purchasing these. I'm just being lazy, not doing it. So, but let's go ahead and jump over to the U16, see what defenses I'm using and what defenses I think could end up working. All right, so this is the defense I'm currently looking to use for the U16. Now, you guys see Xavier on here. Don't worry about Xavier. I'm going to try to find some other options for you guys. I'm just going to kind of give my initial thought process. Then we'll start like doing some theory crafting on here. I like what Max said about the Easter eggs. Yeah, same here. The Easter eggs is really exciting on that one. The big thing for stage 1 is going to be your ISO selection. I'm going with healer on the majority of these characters. The reason for that is because healer and fortifier on hit only apply 1 vulnerable. The less vulnerables I could stack on them when they end up hitting me back, it's going to be less damage. Healers at the end of their turn after they use their ultimate ability is going to end up clearing 2 vulnerables on the team, whereas fortifier clears the vulnerables at the start of the turn. So I'm keeping Black Knight as a fortifier, everybody else as a healer. Try to give me that extra survivability and a chance to where I'm not putting a lot of vulnerables on my opponent. Then when I use my abilities, I can get a lot of damage based on them because of the extra damage that they end up popping out, where one attacking gain 100% damage per vulnerable. So I'm limiting the amount of vulnerables I'm giving to the opponent, and I'll be able to take advantage of the vulnerables. That's what I'm looking at on here. Now, as far as characters goes, Black Knight I'm putting in here. Thanos Endgame I have in here. Emma Frost X-Men to shut down the speed. I would probably use Captain Britain here over Professor X if I was trying to go that route. And then here I have Odin on here. That way I can have my Null and my Mephisto for offense, because whenever we get these short seasons where it's very little rooms, try to go more offense heavy. I kind of learned that to where go offense heavy, just try to make it to where you can one-shot your opponent and you're not really making a mistake. The more offense weapons you have, that's great. Stage 2, I'm using Thunderbolts, and I put a pre-tie in here for Gladiator. I use this in the bio raids already, and this is going to allow me to use my Alpha Flight, because Alpha Flight with Super Scrolls usually good counter to, say, a Spider Society. Vigilante for offense. I have Night Stalkers for offense. I have Uncanny Avengers for offense. So I basically have my pick of who I want to use on offense, where my Thunderbolts, whose new characters, new stats, can kind of sit on the defense side of things here. And then I have Starjammers in stage 3. Basically, I'm trying to pull the Starjammers away into stage 3, making it to where they need to deal with my Professor X on defense, along with Odin. Now, if you guys don't have Professor X, which I was like 451, so not a lot of people have them. Options I would end up doing would be, say, throw Captain Britain in here. And then I would end up doing, say, Mephisto over here or Odin. Either one could end up working. Throw one of your big boys. Mephisto's usually really good for offense. So say we stick with Odin right here. I would end up swapping him out. Say throw Shadow King in. They're not going to be ulting like crazy. However, they could end up still taking an advantage based on the survivability. Again, switch these characters over to a healer. Britain as a healer if you absolutely have to. And the reason I took out Thanos Endgame is because over here we're going to do something crazy. Something I was kind of looking at doing was really leaning into the max damage. So if we end up doing something like a Kahori, she does the ping on spawn, so that could be something that we can play into. Thanos Endgame, making it to where his him getting push is going to do that permanent damage is going to be pretty crazy. And now we're going to throw in the Phoenix Force. The reason I like the Phoenix Force is because on Omega Red Phoenix Force's turn, he's going to be doing that life steal. And that leaves one extra character right here. You can do something like a Kingpin. The reason I like Kingpin is because his spawn or his minion on spawn is going to end up throwing that taunt out there. Another option I was really looking at was actually going really turtle heavy. I just don't know how I'd end up dealing with this. And what we have here is we have a Mephisto over here, Shadow King, we have Captain Britain, we have Emma Frost X-Men, and Black Knight. Again, go healers on these characters. Don't worry about the striker for that double tap. Lean into, I'm putting less vulnerables on you, though when it's my turn, I'm going to hit you really hard. Over here, what we have is Thanos Endgame, who's going to end up getting pushed. That's going to end up causing the huge decay to where they can't get the life back. That could end up hurting Starjammers. We have Odin in here, where his battlefield effect is going to be doing the permanent decay on health. We have Omega Red Phoenix Force. When it goes to his turn, he's taking health from your opponent, and they can't heal it back up. Then Kingpin's going to spawn in the minion. That's going to end up having a taunt on him. As far as placement goes, I would probably do something like this over here. And then placement is fine over here. Now, I know a lot of people don't have Thunderbolts. I would lean into, say, a Spider Society on defense over here. That's going to allow you to use your Night Stalkers, your Vigilante, your Alpha Flight. It gives you a lot more options for the offensive portion that you can really lean into this. Let's go ahead and switch this over to the Spider Society team that's going to be in here. Now, there is other options that you could end up doing to where you can end up having, say, a Starjammers on defense. That could end up working as well. However, by us putting Odin and Mephisto on defense, that's really going to lean into a lot of difficulties. We're going to end up losing out on some important tools. What we have with this defense, we have a Starjammers for offense. We have Null for offense. We have some Illuminati members, but we're not going to end up having Captain Britain, so we do have to take that into account. We have a Kahori for offense. We have Immortal X-Men. We have our Cabal team. We have our Night Stalkers, Orcus. We have Old Man Logan. So you can kind of see we still have a lot of toys that we could end up playing with. And if you end up running into an Xavier, you're just going to have to play the SAT game, and hopefully they make a mistake as well. So let's see. APOC Fortifier in room 1. Professor X move to Gladiator in room 2. Maybe. That's interesting. So APOC and Fortifier, that basically gives him that drain right there. Cabal beats 3. I think Cabal can work on 3 for sure. The issue is if the battlefield effect gets out, they push Thanos endgame. Cabal doesn't have a lot of health, and in stage 3, you get 50% extra health and damage with new stats. That's kind of what I'm leaning into. But I think Cabal with the right pieces definitely could work. The issue with the U16 is you're really limited on stretching your opponent out. So if they kind of go full offense heavy, they'll have the answers. If they go too defense heavy, they're going to slip up. You can't really go the balance route either, because if you put the wrong thing on defense, that's going to end up hurting you. This, I would say, is more of a turtle portion on here. If you want to go more offense heavy, I would probably do something like Odinati and 3. Keep your Mephisto, keep your Null for offense. So let's go ahead and try to mess with that one, and we'll see what we end up doing. So if we go Illuminati, Black Knight, and 3, and basically you're just leaning into, I'm going to try to kill you as fast as possible. And then we throw Black Knight. I didn't pull Black Knight. Let me pull Black Knight off over here. All right, so over here we have Black Knight and 3 with the Odinati team. We have Spider Society. Then over here, I would keep my Mephisto for offense. And options that we could end up doing in stage 1, I'd probably still end up using a Thanos endgame. So let's throw him in here for sure. You don't want to use... Hey, thanks for the follow. You don't want to use the 3-piece Annihilator. So that's going to make it to where you can't get any vulnerables out there. So you want to take that into account. We could end up leaning into some damage. So let's go ahead and throw Iron Patriot in here. He's a great plug-in on the villains. He's going to give 50% extra damage. We could end up throwing in the leader. With this one here, you'll get some extra health. Really lean into Thanos kind of popping off for you. We can throw Gladiator in here, and then maybe like a super scroll. This would end up getting star jammers. That's the thing. However, with star jammers and Thanos Endgame, things can go sideways really quickly on that one. APOC, Old Emma, Thanos Endgame, Null, Gladiator. So that's gonna get you Null on defense. So if you run into a Mephisto, you'd still have Phoenix Force. That could work. Let's throw that in and see how that ends up looking. So we have APOC in here. Again, we're going to end up making him a fortifier. So I don't have that one. I'd have to switch him over. We have Thanos Endgame. We need Null. So there's Null right there. So Iron Patriot. Nope, we have Old Emma. So the Old Emma's in here to... Not old. There we go. Regular Emma. So Emma's going to kind of stop this... Slow down the speed a little bit, kind of make it to where you can get your advantage over your opponent. Thanos in here basically to pop off. Null basically gets the darkness out there. This could end up throwing off the Immortal X-Men if they try to use that in here. Starjammers, again, if they end up pushing Thanos Endgame at the wrong time, that could end up messing things up. APOC gives the extra health and damage to the team. So I do like this as an option. Let's go ahead and switch this over. So that way Thanos is getting hit. Again, the big key with stage 1 is look at your ISOs. I would go with healers or fortifiers on defense. On offense, I'm going to go more striker based, depending what I'm punching into, because I want to limit the amount of vulnerables I'm putting on the opponent. Then we have Odinati with Black Knight in 3, Spider Society in 2. By doing this, as far as what we have for offensive weapons, we have Starjammers, we have Phoenix Force on offense, we have Old Man Logan, we have a Kahori team, Immortal X-Men, Night Stalkers, Uncanny Avengers if we need to use that. We have Orcus right here, Night Stalkers, we have Vigilante for offense. Now, if there does happen to be like a Mephisto on the defensive side of things, depending on what's with them, Vigilante is a great counter into Mephisto comps, which is insane. We don't have Shadow King on defense, so we could end up using Astral for offense as well. So try to kind of look at your balance. Are you trying to go more offense heavy? Try to go for those one shots. I don't think a full turtle is going to end up being the case on here. Usually on these like U32, U16s, doing one big turtle room to try to cause one hiccup is usually enough to try to get the victory for you guys. But let me know what you guys think as far as the defense is, what you plan to end up using. Also about the danger room, how excited are you guys for that? If you have any questions, feel free to ask below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please remember to like, share, subscribe to the channel. Until next time, have one for the rest of the day.